Now, there's a lot of prejudice and skepticism for bodybuilding because of the abuse of the drugs. Of course, we know that doping spread out to the Olympic Games in every sport, almost. Sometimes it's really so obvious, the massive abuse that has been extensively happening to bodybuilding, and of course the death that come out of it. Bodybuilding is not an Olympic sport, and frankly, I don't believe it should be ever done. Actually, bodybuilding is a freak show because size matters, and it's not just about size, also it's about freaky conditioning. As a former champion and as a doctor, I know that medicine has to be along with bodybuilding and bodybuilding along with medicine in order to get the best out of this. Bodybuilding is an art. And in order to make the ideal body safely by using all those PEDs and ergogenics, you need to be monitored close up by a physician who also understands the pathology, pathophysiology of how steroids work, but also to know in first place the endocrinology, the biochemistry, and the chemistry of nutrition, kinesiology. So it's something rare to find in a whole package. So people can get not just how to use steroids, because this is something you can find probably anywhere, but how to use them safely and avoid the potential side effects that come out of it by the use of medical prevention, which is the most important thing in order to have longevity. Among the very rare bodybuilders who became doctors or doctors who not just did bodybuilding but succeeded in shows and became champions, because it's way different than using steroids, than working out, and then competing and winning shows. I paid the price of my mistakes because I was thinking more as an athlete back then and not as a scientist. Of course, I was not so mature educationally in order to understand the stupid mistakes of the abuse I was using, but I was driven by vein mainly in order to complete my goals and win. Knowledge is the most important parameter. That's why knowledge is power.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Souliatos, brought to you by his book, The Bible of Bodybuilding, available on Amazon.com. While you're on Amazon, get this incredible book, Real Bodybuilding by Ron Harris. Wow, what a great book. And now, all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome the good Dr. George Souliatos. How are you, Doctor?
Hello, Ron. Hello from Athens. I was yesterday at the beach. It was about 90. Yes. Ooh,
I was there. It wasn't as hot. I went to the beach yesterday too. I saw you had a good time. Saw some pictures. Yeah. Are you a horror fan at all? Horror movies?
No, I mean, Exorcist is my,
I saw this Friday night, a sneak preview, and the writer was there. He's
Friday night I was at the movies. I saw Elvis.
Oh,
great biography. Great.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah.
But, okay.
It's a real story, and Tom Hanks is playing the manager,
Colonel Tom Parker,
who was ripping him off 50%,
Yep. Yeah, well, Elvis wasn't too smart. Great singer, good looking guy, but
he was a big spender also,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's a legend. He's been dead for 40.
He's the #1 in history in the sales of LP, discs.
Yeah, my late mother was a huge Elvis fan. She had every Elvis record. The day Elvis died in summer 1977, she cried and cried. Oof. She was very upset that Elvis was dead. Anyway, all right, Doctor. Well, we got a lot of questions from last week. You guys have been busy with your questions. So we'll get right to it. It's a lot of drug questions, but that's what we're here for. Number 1, I currently take between 200 to 300 milligrams of testosterone per week with 25 milligrams of proviron per day. Should a daily dose of 20 milligrams of Telmisartan, micardis, be taken per day to avoid any hypertension or blood pressure issues? And then he said also, should P5P, Co-enzyme B6 be taken before bed to keep prolactin levels in check as a preventative measure. But first of all, should he be taking a low dose of Telmisartan on that dose of gear?
First of all, you need to check your blood pressure to see if you have hypertension. I mean, 135 to 85, it's something that you should be aware of because 140 and 90 is officially hypertension.
Okay.
And the first step is to manage your testosterone protocol. Don't go over 200 milligrams and microdoses to 100 milligrams. Connor also ensured of that. And microdosing is also beneficial for the blood pressure in order to avoid spiking of the aldosterone that kicks sodium retention. And then
there was other question.
Avoid table salt, do a cardio that regulates the blood pressure and hydrate a lot in water low in sodium.
Okay.
Avoid the stimulants. And now losartan, this compound, is able to lower also the hematocrit. That's why it's good. And people who are using testosterone usually kick EPO and elevate hematocrit. So it's a double the effect. You lower the blood pressure, but also you lower the hemoglobin. But especially summertime, if you go hypotensive, you really feel drained and it sucks, You're feeling so weak. So take it easy. I mean, if your blood pressure is 120, 125, there's no problem with that. Or 80, all right?
What about this P5P, coenzyme B6? Is that something people should be taking? It says before bed.
This is for the prolactin.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a man of, I support working by evidence and check out the labs. So we have repeated this question, like the answer again, that if you use DECA, it's not necessarily take precaution. The dopamine agonist, which is bromocriptine or cabergoline for the sake of prolactin. Check out first if you have kind of gyno, if it's prolactin linked, and then take your medication. Because crashing on hormones is not also good. Too low prolactin, too low estrogens, okay?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Next one. My doctor was concerned that my homocysteine is okay, 9.6 umol over L, and my C-reactive protein is low, 3.4 milligrams, saying that it should be okay if the homocysteine is okay, then the C-reactive protein should be in the normal range.
Yes, homocysteine should be single digit, preferably. Now the labs give below 15, but I prefer to be below 10. Steroids and smoking and junk food elevate homocysteine that is linked with clotting, coagulation, pulmonary embolism, the venous thrombosis, stroke, and the other thing about C-reactive protein should be below 5. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have 3.5, you have a viral infection. Could be also cardiovascular, substrate, or your joints, or any kind of inflammation, or autoimmune perhaps. So we estimate for the inflammation, the erythrocyte sedimentation rate, and the white blood cells, and also C-reactive protein. But if it's close to 5, you need to check out your lipid profile as well, because there is some inflammation of the arteries, or some arthritis you have, or some autoimmune like rheumatoid arthritis, or some lupus, or whatever that is, Crohn's disease, whatever.
What's funny is my wife had high cholesterol for the first time in her life when she did some blood work last week, 2 weeks ago. And we couldn't figure out why, because her diet's great. She eats like
it's hereditary, it's family related.
She hadn't been training very much, because she had her thumb, there's a big screw in her thumb, it's fused now.
But she could do cardio also.
Yeah, she does. She always did cardio, but I'm saying some people, if you have a bad genetics for it, you got to stay so on top of exercise, everything, or else, you can have high cholesterol, anybody. Next question. What do you think of alpha lipoic acid for liver support? Where I live, tudca and NAC are not available. So the only things people use for support here are alpha lipoic acid and silimarin.
Yes, I'm taking alpha lipoic acid every day, 600 milligrams. Also helps with insulin resistance as an insulin mimicker, but also is a power antioxidant that helps the liver support, you know? So if you don't have access to NAC or glutathione, you may use alpha lipoic acid and milk thistle or silimarin.
Yeah. So it sounds like from everything you've always said, the best thing for liver support is injectable glutathione.
Yes, injectable.
Yeah, if you can get that,
yeah.
Much better. Okay. Next one is, hi, I've been running 300 milligrams test and 50 milligrams proviron a day now for 6-7 months. How much longer is okay to run 300 before I need to knock it down to TRT dose? I did want to add something on top, but I think I'm too late now. Also, it is even worth me taking proviron. It's fairly expensive if I don't actually need it.
Now, it's beneficial taking Muscular. It can release your free testosterone, your SSBG is high, it gives you self-esteem, also cognitive function, libido, of course. It may give you a drier look because DHT is anti-estrogenic and slightly androgenic that may burn some fat also, you know.
Yeah.
So it has this effect. Bodybuilders have used Muscular to look harder also, up to 100 milligrams or more.
Wow.
But the compound which is synthesized in Muscular is DHT, that testosterone also is reduced to DHT.
Yeah.
So it's something extra on top of it. However, if you have hair thinning or prostatic enlargement, it's not a good idea taking Muscular, because taking testosterone, you can block the DHT reduction, but not by taking Muscular itself, which is synthetic DHT.
Yeah.
Now, this guy is, if he's using over 200, then obviously this is super physiological dose. You need to control estrogens after a while. You need to control hemoglobin if you are prone to it, blood pressure. So, you know, there are some consequences in the long run.
Yeah, and then proviron is very expensive compared to a lot of, you know.
But, you know, in Greece, it costs about $4. What's one package?
Oh, how many in a package?
20 pills.
Oh,
$4 and 20 pills.
Okay. So
and I know a guy, you know this guy also,
yes.
The Greek guy. He sells this 10 times higher in the States.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's where I got it once a couple of years ago, and it was pricey. It wasn't cheap, but you know it's real at least.
So you can have a medical tourism. I'll take you myself to the pharmacy. You can stock.
Yeah, I mean, they come in these blister packs with long strips of proviron. Good stuff. Yeah. Anyway, next question. Question for you, Ron. I'll answer this quick, Doc, I promise. Your physique has improved quite a bit over the last couple of years. You're looking good, bro. I believe I remember you mentioned you added GH to your protocol. Would you attribute some of the improvements to GH? I just want to say my physique has not improved over the past few years. It's actually gone downhill. I hate to admit it, but it's true. You know, certain things, injuries and things like that, and my midsection is blown out. The only thing I've ever noticed from the GH that I've been using for over 2 years now is it keeps you leaner than you would be. That's it. I don't think I have 1 more ounce of muscle.
As we said, GH in first place, what it does is fat burning. Yeah. If you want to grow on GH, you have to abuse GH to release IGF-1.
Yeah.
And this is expensive, but it's also risky to trigger cancer.
Yeah.
And also diabetes.
You said like 6 to 8 units is probably the threshold for when you start seeing gains.
Yeah, over 8, it's for muscle growth, and this is what the pros use.
It's a lot. I mean, if you're paying, especially pharmaceutical GH, if you're using 8 units or more a day, you're going to be spending a lot of money.
So you told me that, an Olympia competitor who passed in his 20s, he was using 1 single pen every day.
18 units a day, yeah. I guess that's not on. That's
the
not,
pen is 36, I'm sorry.
Oh, is it 36? Wow. Okay, that's even worse.
In 2 doses of 18. This is crazy shit.
Yeah, because I think it's 18 per pen, right?
Well, if it's 18, okay, it's reasonable.
But maybe he was doing 2 of those pens a day, because Jose Raymond was telling me a lot of guys would just do whatever's in that 1 pen. Like I think it's 18 units. They would do that once every day, the whole pen. Yeah, I mean it's pricey, very pricey. Here we go. Here's a good training sort of question. Is body recomposition or lean bulking possible? Meaning only eating a maintenance level of calories and hope the body consumes fat stores for energy to grow muscle? Or is bulking with a calorie surplus the only way to grow muscle, followed by cutting caloric deficit to reduce the fat? Dr.
I believe it is in the long run. I believe it is. Now, it's either black and white. So you want to get bigger, you should have a caloric surplus with some extra fat. You want to get ripped, you should have a caloric deficit and preserve the muscle and kill the fat. But in the long term, in the long run, if you have a maintenance phase, you improve your muscle, your body composition by simultaneously building a little bit of muscle and at the same time burning some fat. So the scale shows the same, but the mirror tells something different, no? In the long run, you're improving. It takes years. It's a slow process.
Some people claim that they've been able to grow muscle in a caloric deficit. Obviously, they're on a lot of gear and stuff.
Oh man, how? When under low insulin? No, man.
I don't know. Where's the muscle? What's it being built from if you don't have the calories, if you don't have the building blocks?
Listen, if you have a cheat meal and you have a spike on insulin, doesn't mean you're gonna make muscle in that day, you know?
Maybe.
It takes time, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, when people say they grow like they're dieting for a show.
Yeah, that's bullshit, because even if you just eat protein, 100% of your calories, you cannot grow when insulin is low and when you have a caloric deficit. This is, I mean, it's a fact.
Yeah, well, I'm interested, people in the comments, anyone who has grown during a caloric deficit, please let me know and tell me.
You may appear larger because it's the illusion by burning fat and holding the muscle, you know, preserving the muscle. And as a fact, listen, if you go from, let's say, 200 pounds to 190, but it's all fat, statistically, you have more muscle than in the 200 pounds at 190 with a lower body fat, as long as you maintain all the muscle tissue. It's a fact. Right. It's not growing, but you hold more muscle, you know, because you kill all the fat and you preserve all the muscle.
Well, that's what I think. That's why I think gear is so valuable during cutting, during prep. You're not building. That's why, because if you're natural, I competed naturally for years and I always lost muscle while I got lean, always. But once I started using gear, I was able to keep the muscle and get the fat off and, you know, have much more muscle on stage. So
that's why I managed to, I mean, this year I reached 7% at 200 pounds with very small doses. And 2013, at the same body weight, I was 5% because I was using 5 injectables.
The more drugs, they do help you hold more muscle for sure. Unfortunately, it's a huge risk, but this is a question you've answered so many times. How do you take care of your gyno? Well, you have to have gyno in the first place.
This guy assumes I have a gyno.
No, I think he means, I think if you have
generally
gyno,
speaking. Okay, now when gyno is already established, it's too late to use an aromatase inhibitor, because aromatase inhibitor should be used in first place to stop production and synthesize estrogen in first place, you know, in the beginning of the cycle, from day one. Now, if estrogens have catch up already, you need to occupy the receptors, like sit down on the chair so that no out-the-floating estrogens cannot sit down on this receptor, okay? Also, gyno is multifactorial. Could be low DHT, so applying Masterolone or Masteron can help you, because DHT is androstenedic. That's why taking DHT blockers give you gyno. The finasteride, dutasteride increase the other metabolite, which is estradiol. Also, high IGF-1. Yes, abusing growth hormone may have an impact on that, and of course, prolactin. Stress, insomnia. Okay, prolactin also is linked to this milky appearance, you know, and so it's multifactorial. And also the ratio of androgens to estrogens. You may have elevation estradiol, but your testosterone is super sky high. So it's no big deal about it.
What was my estrogen? It was like 200, 220, something ridiculous. Like what's normal? What's a normal estrogen for a man?
I think it's below 50 or 60 nanograms.
Yeah, mine was like 200, the last blood work.
Listen, those reflect to a testosterone below 1,000. So I'm telling you again, it's the proportion.
Yeah, I was right under, my test was under 2,000 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Next question, doctor. I have to choose between NAC injectable and glutathione injectable, and they're quite the same price. Which one to take?
Say that again. Injectable.
So he can get NAC injectable or glutathione injectable.
I guess glutathione by far. You know.
Okay.
NAC stimulates glutathione, but
Okay.
you can take NAC orally, you know.
Yeah, I've seen it supplements. Like, I don't know where people get glutathione injectable. I guess I could look into it if I really
You can
needed
get
to.
it. I mean, in Italy, certainly, also Germany, but there are some clinics in the US that give you an IV, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can go online and get like Viagra or Cialis delivered to your house the next day with no
But would you
prescription.
trust it? Would you trust it if it's not pharma grade?
Sure, why not? I've used Cialis that I bought online before. It works perfectly. So yeah, I don't know what I don't know if it's full strength, but it works. Final question. Dr. Jeffrey Ruterbush says his mentor, Dr. Lectin, has used DECA or Winstrol on older men for its anti-diabetic and anti-thrombolytic effect. Do you confirm this use?
Listen, now there is a fact that steroids can fight diabetes by building muscle. That muscle will burn the glucose. And also, testosterone also fights diabetes. And when somebody is into TRT and has already been using insulin, he has to adjust to a lower insulin dose while on testosterone.
Hmm.
But the consequences that you're going to have out of Winstrol over, how you say the word, over, are more than the benefits. So there's lipidemia and transaminemia. So the lipids and the liver enzymes are going to be messed up with stenozolol.
Hmm.
Okay, now DECA, I would say that testosterone is a safer option than DECA, but yes, you can add DECA also.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
a small dose.
I've never heard of like Winstrol being used in experiments. I hear like Test and DECA, but this is the first I've heard about doctors using
Winstrol
Winstrol.
has some medical implications, you know. It's implemented in anemia, muscle wasting, but also angioedema. It's a very rare case of inflammation.
Okay.
But I'm telling you that DECA is not 17 alkylated, and certainly testosterone is way safer than DECA.
Mm.
So you may fight as long as you do cardio, resistance training, and you build muscle that will burn the glucose. So muscle tissue is anti-diabetic, okay?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that is all our questions for this week, Doc. Guys, if you have questions for next week's show, please leave them in the comments and get them in by Friday, Saturday at the very latest, because that's when I compile them, because the doctor likes to look at them and make sure he has all the info.
It's the 4th of July next Monday.
That's right. It's also the Orlando Pro Show is Saturday, this Saturday. It's like a pro show every weekend. They just had one in Brazil over this past weekend, another pro show. Yeah, they're every weekend until the end of the summer at least. So yeah, guys, also please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Even if you don't have any questions, leave some comments for the algorithm, please. Hit this notification bell, that little bell thing in the corner. And doctor, we thank you so much. And as we saw in the beginning of the episode, steroidsmasterclass.com. Check that out, steroidsmasterclass.com. Brand new program offered by Dr. Touliatos. Extremely educational. Knowledge is power, and especially when we're dealing with these hormones that can literally change your body chemistry. You want to be as well informed as possible, make all the right decisions for your body and for your future health and longevity, as well as your gains. Why not? Yeah. So yeah, best of luck with that, doctor. I'll be checking that out later today. I'm going to take a look at that. I can't wait to check it out. So everybody, thanks for watching Ask Dr. Touliatos with Dr. George Touliatos. Ask Dr. Testosterone, I should say. And we'll see you next time.